Coming up on today's episode of the Ham Radio Guy, we're discussing Radio Relay International and the innovative new Ham Watch program, a powerful fusion of global amateur radio collaboration and real-time emergency readiness you won't want to miss. Welcome to the Ham Radio Guy podcast, where we explore all things amateur radio from gear and gadgets to on-the-air adventures and everything in between. I'm your host, Marvin, call sign W0MET, here to connect you with the latest tips, tricks, news, and stories to take your ham radio experience to the next level. Whether you're a seasoned operator, a weekend POTA warrior, or just getting started, this is the place to be. So grab your favorite cup of coffee, tune up your rig, let's get on the air, because the world of amateur radio is awaiting. Well, I've got a great segment for you here today. I'm looking forward to this, and we have a lot going on. First of all, I'm going to bring you my segment feature back, where I've talked about some type of product or something I've used, and it's been really great. And this is the Radivis Alluance HA1G GMRS radio. It's IP67 waterproof, rugged, durable, two-way radio. These things you can find them on Amazon at about $44 a piece. Maybe Amazon days are coming up. You might get them a little cheaper. I think I bought mine around $35 back on one of the Amazon days last year. And I've been using these GMRS radios. They're really a strong, durable, rugged radio. Feels really good in your hand. And actually, you can program them through a little bit of, some YouTube videos. You can actually get amateur bands on there as well. I think it was a little dirty in the 440 section, roughly on VHF or on UHF, but overall it wasn't too bad. So anyway, I've found these radios to be really rugged, and I've just been using them. Just have the one in the wife's car. My brother and I have used it back and forth, and they have a pretty decent little distance. They're like 5 watts, but they've been doing really well. So. If you're interested in that, I'm leaving a link in the show notes for you, and you can certainly come back and get that. Well, other things going on. We got back from Dayton, working with Flex Radio there during the show. It was really busy. Got to explore a lot of things for Dayton, and seeing some of the new vendors, visiting the new Yaesu radio. Obviously, Flex Radio had the Roar radio, and Tentec had a new radio out. I didn't get to spend a lot of time at that booth, unfortunately, and take a little bit more in depth with that. But I was able to purchase a new Radio Sport headset, which should be arriving end of this week sometime. And look through some other, things like some amps and other things. But, your typical vendors that were there. And hopefully some other new products are coming around that I'll be looking at and exploring. One of them is the Delta Mesh-tastic device from Spec 5. Hoping to do a review with that on you. I've got another app we're going to be reviewing and looking at doing some radio programming with the Yaesu FT70D. I've got another interview with a cloud logging software that we'll be doing and talking about. So a lot of stuff upcoming. I've been doing a ton of travel. Actually recording this from Missouri this week. And so you're probably wondering where I've been. And between Dayton, getting home, packing, traveling over Memorial Day weekend, celebrating a 25-year anniversary, it's just been super busy. And it's like, how do I find the time, or where am I going to find the time, I should say, to be able to put this podcast out? So I apologize for the long delay in between podcasts. It's been almost a month here. And I'd like to get it out every 2 weeks, and I kind of failed on that. So I apologize, but I do thank you for sticking with me, and hopefully we will make up some of that and maybe get an extra episode in here pretty quick. The Ham Radio Guy podcast is brought to you by Dakota Lithium, powering your adventures with batteries built to last. Whether you're heading out for a POTA activation, gearing up for field day, or just need reliable power for your ham shack, Dakota Lithium has you covered. With twice the power, half the weight, and an amazing 11-year warranty, these batteries are designed to keep you on the air longer. I've been using Dakota lithium batteries for my own portable operations, and let me tell you, the performance is unmatched. No more worrying about dead batteries in the middle of an activation, just pure dependable power wherever you need it. Check them out today at dakotalithium.com and get ready to experience the ultimate in portable energy solutions. And hey, be sure to tell them the Ham Radio Guy sent you. Check out my link in the show notes to save 5%. Well, if you've been listening to the show for a while and you're enjoying the podcast, I would appreciate it if you want to be a part of something bigger while unlocking some awesome perks. Now's your chance to join the Ham Radio Guy podcast community over on Patreon. You can get the tech level, get early access to episodes and behind the scene updates, be the first to know what's happening, or dive into the general level with a more exclusive bonus content, member only question and answer sessions, and get a well-earned shout out on the show. Extra class level or the VIP experience, enjoy all the perks plus one-on-one chats, sneak peek of future projects, and exclusive surprise gear sent your way. Your support helps to keep the podcast going strong, bringing fresh content, and growing our amazing ham radio community. So what are you waiting for? Head over to patreon.com/the ham radio guy and join today. Let's keep the airwaves alive, one QSO at a time. With that, let's get into a little bit of news. Hurricane season begins June 1st, and NOAA forecast above normal activity with up to 19 named storms and as many as 5 major hurricanes. As the Atlantic heats up, amateur radio operators stand by ready to assist through nets like the Hurricane Watch Net or WX4 NHC at the National Hurricane Center. Hams provide real-time ground reports critical to forecast and emergency response. During past storms like Helene and Ian, these trained volunteers relayed life-saving information when all other systems failed. With ARES coordinating closely with disaster agencies, amateur radio remains a vital link before, during, and after the storm. I am very excited about this next story. The 13 Colonies event will take place from July 1st, 9 a.m. through July 7th at midnight. This year, the event will honor founder Ken Vallone, KU2US, who is passing the torch to Tony Jones in for ATJ. Vallone has led the event for 16 years. Amateur radio operators and SWLs can participate in the event. Complete information about the call for each colony station and the bonus station can be found on the event website. So check out 13 Colonies. I'll be one of the operators for K2H for Massachusetts. So I'll be looking forward to us on the air. And if I can put my times out there a little bit somewhere, probably on my Twitter or post them on my Patreon page, you'll be able to listen to them there for what times I'll be on the air operating as K2H. So this is all the information for amateur radio news with the release date of May 30th, 2025. It's now time for the Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week, where Rick tells us the joke. The Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week is brought to you by Ham Radio Prep. Now here is Rick Garrett, N9 GSU, with today's Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week.
As a ham radio operator, I'm an old dude. You know, a lot of us are in that category, but I like to keep active. That's why I love Parks on the Air so much. But this winter, I had to have a total knee replacement, and it turned out to be a very complicated operation. They had to call in a whole team of surgeons to do this one. They said it was a joint operation.
This has been the Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week with Rick Garrett, N9 GSU. Turn in next week for another joke from Rick. The Ham Radio Guy Joke of the Week is sponsored by Ham Radio Prep. Ready to join the airwaves or take your ham radio skills to the next level? Ham Radio Prep makes it easy and fun to get your amateur radio license, from technician to general and even extra class. With clear step-by-step courses, video lessons, and practice exams, you'll be ready to pass the test with confidence. You're already licensed? Well, then explore their specialty courses like How to Use Your Radio, MCOM 101, and HF Masterclass, all designed to help you become a skilled, confident operator. While you're visiting Ham Radio Prep, don't miss out on World Radio League, a global community of amateur radio enthusiasts where you can track contacts, earn awards, and connect with hams around the world. I'm using Ham Radio, World Radio League, I should say, for my logging And I know they're still working on some of those integrations with different radios. And I'm a little held up right now with the Flex radio, but we're trying to figure that out and work with them to get that done. So anyway, start your ham radio journey today with Ham Radio Prep, because when all else fails, ham radio works. hamradioprep.com. Again, you can find the link in the show notes description. If you have any questions, reach out to me, W0MET at thehamradioguide.com. Well, let's get into what we're talking about today. We got quite a bit to get through here. And this is talking about Ham Watch and Radio Relay International. I think this is probably one of the most critical and often overlooked aspects of amateur radio, is talking about traffic handling. More specifically, again, we'll be talking about Radio Relay International and what they do and the role it plays in ensuring that messages get where they need to go when normal communication systems fail. And so whether you're a seasoned operator, been doing this for a long time, maybe you've done other nets, or maybe you've been part of a disaster that's handled traffic handling and message handling, or some other form of message relay through WinLink or whatever you've done. But I think this episode will be for you. There's quite a bit that we will be talking about. That is kind of of course, IMCOM, a little bit of a role here. And the other part will be the organizations and doing something like National Traffic System, and really what ham radio is really was maybe meant to be back in the days. And I'm going a little side moment here, but I can remember my days when I was younger that my uncle would be overseas and he would make a phone call and it would get in touch with an amateur radio operator, maybe in Florida. And then that person would relay a call to my grandmother. And so, they were doing message handling back then. And I thought that was quite interesting. So this has a little bit of a personal relationship to me. But I'm going to start with Radio Relay International, or RRI. And what is it? Well, it's an independent traffic handling organization dedicated to maintaining and improving the relay of formal written messages or radiograms over the amateur radio network. Think of it as a modern evolution of the national traffic system. And some people will agree or disagree with me that is, a great system, and that, people do use it, people don't use it. It's really worthless. I've heard it all over the years, but I think there is a place for it. And so the Radio Relay International really focuses on efficiency, training, and a digital integration, which I really like the digital integration. And I think Zero Retries would probably think the same too. I know he's pretty big into the digital side. Now, RRI is not a membership organization, but rather an association of nets. So RRI does not charge dues. They're an entirely volunteer organization operating as an IRS 501c3 nonprofit NGO, which operates entirely on donations. And this ensures that they are responsive to their stakeholders and isolates them from mission creep and the bias that sometimes affects nonprofit organizations, which, when not managed properly, can devolve into hidden agendas or self-interest groups of directors or officers. And I'm not aiming that to be at any particular organization. That was not meant to be that way, in case someone thinks I'm aiming that towards ARRL. But we might have seen this happen somewhere before. So, just saying. When one becomes an RI registered radio operator, they receive notices of upcoming training sessions, scheduled disaster telecommunications exercises, emergency response operations, and other operational bulletins. Registered operators also receive notice when new issues of the Q&I newsletter are released. Now, I do have a problem with this, which was the last one was published in 2023. So I've not found a newer one than that, but coming off their website, that's what it was. Now, they have some newer data showing things into 2025 here, but they just didn't have any other newsletters. So I kind of wonder about that, but, we'll move on. I couldn't find any information about the stats or history of exactly what they've done and how much they've done over the years. But I did find some active messages examples going back to July of 2024, where a family member had passed. An amateur radio Iowa and operator was unable to get a hold of his brother in Illinois, and a message was then hand delivered from a local ham in a nearby community that was close. So, that was a fairly recent story that I was able to find, and I thought that's a perfect way to be able to handle something like that. So, unlike casual QSOs, message handling requires precision, discipline, and structure. And RRI ensures that operators are trained in proper message formatting, routing, and delivery techniques, and the system they maintain is especially valuable for emergency communications, where reliable message transmissions can make all the difference. So, this will get to my first point I started off with, and why is traffic handling important? So in today's world of smartphones and instant messaging, why do we need radiograms? Well, I think the answer is pretty simple in this, and that's simply resilience. We all know when disasters strike and cell towers go down, internet access fails, and traditional communications is disrupted, amateur radio remains one of the most reliable means of passing critical information. We've seen this time after time. I don't have to go into a ton of stories, but we had the AT&T building that exploded in 21 in downtown Nashville. Communication was lost. Amateur radio was used. Hurricane, Milton and Helene. Those are all just more recent stories. But, that is, systems that were disrupted and ham radio came through. So Radio Relay International's structured approach ensures that messages are relayed accurately and efficiently. Again, whether it's a health or welfare update, emergency request, or just a coordination between agencies. So another good example of this was during Hurricane Maria in 2017, when Puerto Rico's infrastructure was devastated and ham operators played a key role in delivering messages to and from the island, helping connect families and support relief efforts. So this is where some of Radio Relay International's expertise and well-trained traffic handlers truly shined. So maybe this gives you a little bit of an interest, and you're going, well, I'm not sure I'm really good at doing traffic handling, but can I get involved? What can I do? And this might be easier than you think it is, but my beginning steps here for you. Again, if you're a seasoned operator and just never done this and have interest, or if you're brand new to amateur radio and you want to get involved, I think getting involved in some local nets that you can start with for doing messaging or traffic handling to get some practice is a good place to start. And there's lots of local nets out there you can find on your local repeaters, sometimes on Simplex. A lot of clubs will handle them. And so I think that's a good way to go. Now, there's also two tools I'll provide you here. You can go out to the ARRL and do the net directory search through the ARRL website, or search for local nets there. And I think better yet, the better program to go through is probably called NetLogger. You can download this to a Mac or PC and join some nets there to start to listen. Maybe you find a way to get involved, maybe become a net control. But if you choose to use the net directory search from ARRL, make sure you select local nets radio button, and then from your state drop down list and the national traffic forwarding nets only option from the national traffic affiliate drop down list, you'll get a list of local nets in your state that handles traffic, and click the name to find out more about that particular net. So that's one way to do it. Another thought process on this, on the website, you can find a number of training nets that use both voice and Morse code. You can follow the similar type of search process through that. But if you're not sure which nets are suitable, click the link for the state emergency net and contact the net manager listed there for advice, or contact your section manager. They might be able to have more information, be able to help you out, or maybe local club might be a good way to do too. But the goal is to be able to learn how to take a net and how to take the messages and how to follow a proper protocol when doing message handling. And there may be a day that comes when a net control station hooks you up with another station with a radiogram, for your town, don't be afraid to say, hey, this is my first message. Take it slow. And an experienced traffic handler, will know you need to get it right. And so they're going to help you with that. And you can find more information about radiograms at the FS type-in guidelines, FSD 218. And I'll leave a link in the show notes too that can give you more information on some PDFs that will provide more information from the ARRL. Not doing that. So now once you got that message, you have to go about delivering it. Sometimes it could be good news. Sometimes it might not be so good news. And you just got to be a professional in how you handle that and how you deliver the message. So delivering a message can be maybe the easy part of traffic handling potentially. All you have to do is call the address and say, hey, my name is whatever. I'm an amateur radio operator and I have a message for you. And I need to let you know that you're not a telemarketer and that your message is someone they're likely to know. And I'm passing a message on from, John Smith or, Mark, Smith or whatever the name may be. After your addressee is ready to receive the message, carefully read it back to him or her, and just not the text or the preamble of the message. You don't need to address the preamble or addressee type of information. Just the text is what you're really trying to give them. And convert any numbered radiogram to its equivalent text, even if you're delivering the message to another ham. When you're done, be sure everything is okay and ask if he or she will have a reply. And so be sure to get the complete address information. Try and get a phone number, maybe trying to limit the local response to maybe 25 words or less. You can use the numbered radiograms to save space too, but note the local time and date when you accept the message, sign a precedence and any handling instructions, which are optional, and count up the words. And after you write your message, take it back to the next net session, and you check in and say, hey, got a call with one message. So as an amateur radio operator in my tenure here, almost 30 years, I've received 2 to 3 radiograms as an amateur radio operator, and it's actually kind of cool to get one. But I've never sent one. I've never had a reason to send one, but I do like it. It's kind of cool to get one. I don't really have a copy of, I think I've had 1 or 2 that have been more like maybe delivered, but I think I know 2 of them have been phone calls. So, they do use them. And, I've seen some of them just get crossed via email and then sent to me via email. And I was like, well, that's really using the internet. That's not really using, RF or message handling at that point. But, I guess they're using the tools at hand to pass the messages along. It is what it is, But here's some things to think about for doing the work of traffic handling. And I got 4 basically steps here. First of all, learn the basics. Familiarize yourself with the radiogram format, the message precedence, handling rules, things like that. Join a traffic net. Many regions have scheduled traffic nets where operators practice relaying messages, and this will help you hone your skills and prepare for real-world traffic handling. Participate in any training and drills so you can stay sharp and ready to handle messages, and become a liaison. If you want to take it to the next level, consider becoming a liaison between local and national traffic networks. Ensuring messages flow smoothly across different regions might be a good way to do that. So that is the first part of traffic handling, and we'll have a whole lot more in just a moment while we take a break, and we'll be right back with more information. Here's a word from ABR Industries right here on the Ham Radio Guy podcast.
Looking for top quality cables that you can trust? ABR Industries has you covered. Proudly American built and reliable, ABR Industries delivers premium coax cable and connectors for all your communication needs. Whether you're a ham radio operator, work in broadcast, or manage critical infrastructure, ABR ensures that you are connected when it matters most.
And it has such tremendously different characteristics.
From static to clarity, ABR products. Built tough, built here, built for you. ABR Industries. American built and reliable. Visit abrind.com today and experience the strength of superior connectivity. It's the only coax here in the W0MET Ham Shack. Use code Save 10 ham radio guy. ABR Industries, where reliability meets performance. Welcome back to the Ham Radio Guy. I'm excited to have you listen. And before we continue our chat about traffic handling, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our new Patreon supporters. But I'd like to check the inbox today, and I have none new for this month. So you guys make this podcast possible. So please go out to patreon.com/the Ham Radio Guy and sign up. Your support for this is greatly appreciated. This allows me to do more product reviews, and in return, I want to give you guys back giveaways of those reviews. And also be sure to follow us on the social media for the latest updates, exclusive content, and a peek behind the scenes. I think a lot of you guys may know we're doing a little bit more barbecue stuff. Just put one out on about seasoning a griddle, and hopefully have another one here coming out very soon. Well, now we're into the next segment here of traffic handling, and this is talking about the Radio Relay International programs and family neighborhood emergency communication. Now, again, a lot of people heard about this through Helene and how they worked out message handling in North Carolina. But RRI sponsors several programs aimed at integrating amateur radio into disaster response and community preparedness efforts. And these, closely align with the principles found in the Family Neighborhood Emergency Communication Guide, which they have, and it really emphasizes the importance of having a structured communication plan before disaster strikes and how these efforts work together. So, I've thought about this after the fact from last year with the storms coming through, and, I have bought myself some little GMRS radios that I have on standby. I keep them on charge, and, I have them with me now, and, I'll travel with them, and in case I need them, I've got them from neighbors, that may be nearby that could use some like this if a disaster would strike. So it's one of those things I carry with me quite a bit, and, I have them at home when I need them, or I have them with wherever my home may be, but it's nice to have. You can hand them out as need be. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in just a moment here as kind of the neighborhood radio watch or ham watch. So the National SOS Radio Network is a network of local radio amateurs linking citizens equipped with common FRS walkie-talkies to local emergency service disaster situations. And this allows citizens to request assistance from local emergency response organizations when cellular networks or telephone services unavailable. So that's the SOS Radio Network. Now there's the Volunteer Organization Active in Disaster Response, or VOADS, and this is more of a cohesive, interoperable emergency communication program where local amateur radio clubs train these volunteers organizations in basic radio communication techniques using Radio Relay International materials, and then they establish their own interoperable FRS GMRS network for internal communications with volunteer radio amateurs, providing connectivity from the VOAD network to both local emergency management and international messages networks, and even WinLink. Now there's a Boy Scout Radio Watch as the third one, and this introduces scouts to the purpose of using two-way radio technology, and they're trained in basic radio telephone procedures, radiograms, ICS, 213 message formats, etc. So, and maybe the assistance of the Boy Scouts could be used for on some of this radio stuff to use to obtain their radio amateur license, and maybe assist in some type of local communication emergency if need be. And then the final one is I Am Safe, and RRI offers a suite of documents and software that can assist in the transmission of welfare-related messages from a disaster area. So that is the kind of the main four areas that they look at. And the one I think I want to stress the most is the importance of planning ahead is probably the Family Neighborhood Emergency Communication Guide. And, this is establishing family communication, some type of method of backups, amateur radio or FRS, GMRS radios of some sort. And again, I've got both, so I can cover that. Some designated communication checkpoint, and a frequency, a time, so that community members know when to check in. And that's something I still have to do. I think that's very important to have. Practicing routine drills to ensure everyone knows how to use the equipment effectively. That might be a good thing to know as well. But when you're finding radios, you want to be able to find it on one frequency, maybe set it, lock it, keep it from having to rotate the dial so they're now off frequency and they don't realize they're off frequency. Maybe they don't have a channel on there. You just have to rotate the dial to know it's on, 8 or, 9 or 10 or something like that for channels. And maybe you just know that it says channel 10, but, if it got rotated to channel 11 for them, they don't realize it. They're trying to check in. You can't get a hold of them. So it's just easier just to lock the radio and know that they need to turn it off and on. And these times are to be able to, use that one channel. And then, having neighborhoods participate in radio-based emergency networks, is important as well. So by combining these different principles with the RRI structured traffic handling approach, communities can enhance their disaster resilience and ensure important messages continue to flow when other systems fail. So I think today we kind of have a hybrid of technology that we're using, and it's not just using voice across the board, but or maybe CW, which can pass a lot of message traffic as well. It's very effective, and it can obviously get through better than maybe some voice transmissions would. But you can also integrate digital things, some type of packet radio, WinLink, or any other type of digital message handling system, maybe a RIDI of some sort. And so, including these other options really is, a new way to bring radiograms and passing messages in a different way, but it makes it more versatile and more efficient. I may have some of those tools, but I can't do them all. I can't do CW, but I could do a WinLink or digital, message of some sort besides just voice. So it's definitely good to have that. And if you're, pretty tech savvy, I think you'll find digital message handling is probably a great way to merge your love of ham radio with modern communication, using technology, using radios, computers, all in one, and to really expand your skill set and make a difference in emergency communications. I think that is pretty vital to be able to have some versatility about yourself as well in what you're capable of exploring or handling for your normal ham radio activities. So if you haven't explored traffic handling before, I think it's one of those things I encourage you to go check out Radio Relay International. I've not heard of them before, but prior to be doing some research on this and wanting to go down this route and talk about this a little bit more, because I really feel like that was an important topic. And so, visiting the Family Neighborhood Emergency Communication Guide is a great way to integrate your structured radio communication into your family's emergency plan. I'll definitely be using it myself. And so, whether you're handling that emergency traffic or just practicing, it's a good way to definitely build your skill set. Well, with that, we will go into Hamfest here. And it looks like CPAC is probably this weekend of my recording. And there'll be the ARRL Northwestern Division Convention in Seaside, Oregon. And July 13th will be the Sussex, New Jersey Hamfest in the Hudson Division. August 3rd is the Berryville Hamfest in Roanoke Division, Berryville, Virginia. And August 21st to 24th is the Northeast Ham Exposition, which is the next one you'll find me at. And that will be in Marlborough, Massachusetts. Again, August 21st to the 24th. And then September 20th to the 21st is Midwest Superfest, the ARRL Central Division Convention in Chillicothe, Illinois. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Ham Radio Guy. Thanks for being here. And whether you're tuning in from the shack, the road, or out in the field, I appreciate you spending time with me. If you got a question, a story, a topic you'd like to hear on the show, shoot me an email or connect with me on Twitter or Patreon. I loved hearing from fellow hams. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave a review, share it with a friend, and help spread the word. Every bit of support helps build this amazing community of amateur radio enthusiasts. And if you're finding value on the show, consider supporting it on Patreon. Keeps the airwaves open and the content coming. And until next time, keep those antennas high, the signal strong, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Ham Radio Guy. Take care, and somebody 3.